Al,
Ab.
Shane, what's up? Kat, how you doing?
Hey guys.
How we doing?
Welcome to another episode of That Mortgage Show. It's February 21st. We've got two special guests this week. We're really excited. We've got Shane Mccain and Katherine Dahl of Blue Edge Real Estate Group. What's the official title of the company, Shane?
Blue Edge Professional Real Estate, but you can call us Blue Edge for short.
Blue Edge Professional Real Estate. So, guys, can you do just a brief introduction of yourselves? Give us an idea of who you are and what you do for the group.
Ladies first.
All right. So I actually am the vice president of the residential side of Blue Edge. So we are constantly doing new home construction, resales, helping clients, sellers, and buyers on both sides of the fence to get into their dream homes and things that they want to see and make the best financial decisions for their family.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm Shane. I founded Blue Edge a few years ago. In my previous life, I was in professional sports and jumped into real estate in 2018. And I started fixing and flipping and investing, selling new construction before I started Blue Edge. And now my primary focus is land acquisition for big developers and small developers, really, and then helping our residential team as well.
So you're a bit of a landman.
I'm a landman for sure.
Landman.
All sense of the word. I'm such a landman. I went deep sea fishing. I throw up everywhere. I'm truly a landman.
Nice.
Literally a landman.
Yeah.
Too.
Keep me on land, man. And then Kat, from my observation, you also help the team grow as far as sales goes, as far as working leads and following up with clients and helping people through the process. What's unique about you guys is you both come from a corporate setting in real estate sales. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. We were competitors selling against each other for several years.
So I think that brings a unique, it colors the team and the company in a unique way. There's a lot to be said about corporate America negatively, but there's also a lot to learn, and especially in the sales portion. So bringing that level of professionalism to the real estate market is huge. There's plenty of real estate agents that get right in and don't have any professional experience, and they do fine, but there's plenty that could use a little polishing. And I think that you guys bring that to the game. So it's definitely something that's unique about you, and that I love about you guys. So I think that we should get into a little bit of the content here, and then we will kind of just have an open forum conversation with Kat and Shane. Is that good with you guys? You guys ready to get into some of it?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Yeah, I'm fired up.
Man.
All right, Alvin. So the first thing that we always discuss, our first segment, if you will, is what?
What's your rate?
What's your rate? Because everybody calls us and they want to know what's your rate. They don't care who we are, where we came from. They just want to know what's our rate.
Don't care about anything.
They don't care about anything. So first things first, we got a headline here from AP, Associated Press. Average U.S. rate on 30-year mortgage slips to 8-week low after fifth straight weekly decline. So that sounds fantastic, and as a mortgage professional, I'd love to see it. But Al, give us a little bit of your take on headlines like that, and this one.
Well, I was gonna say that I hate it and it drives me nuts, but Adam told me I'm not allowed to be negative on the show. So let me try to put my best positive spin on this. I dislike it. They try to butter you up with all the 5 weeks of interest rates coming down. They really haven't changed at all. They make it seem like we're seeing 10-foot swells here and we're seeing ripples in a pond. You know what I mean? Rates have pretty much hovered around 7 for a while. Pretty much a year. I don't think they've changed really at all in the past year, right, Ab?
Well, I'm glad that you bring that up. I happen to have some data here. This is a 5-year look at the 30-year fixed mortgage rate.
Big graph guy. Back me up.
Big graph guy. I know Shane's a graph guy.
Love
So 30-year fixed, if you can see the screen, 7.08%. The date, October 27th, 2022. We're coming up on 3 years of fluctuating around mid sixes to high to sevens.
Yeah. We had one little spot in September of last year when everybody got all juiced up and excited when they creeped down, and it was like, oh my God, we might see them in the fives, and then right back up.
So here's the thing, and here's what I think Al is trying to get across with his disdain for the article headline. They're sensationalizing minor dips, and they also sensationalize when the rates go up. So really, we're looking at here coming on 3 years of rates at about 7. Do you guys, Kat, Shane, do you guys have any input from the realtor side as far as buyer sentiment on rate, and your opinions on how much rate really matters? What do you guys have anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, rates are important, right? That affects affordability through the roof. And so when we're talking to buyers, we're really trying to make sure that we're managing the monthly payment. Something I love about being able to call you or Al up and be like, hey guys, I've got a buyer and we're looking at this and this is where we need to be. Can you really show me what this looks like? Because you guys are so good at running numbers that are going to include all the factors of owning a home so that they can make the most informed decisions. But rates are huge. They affect affordability tenfold every time.
Yeah.
I love that. Appreciate that. Did not pay for that nice little shout out either, Kat. You're going to make me blush.
Yeah. And if rates stay at 7 indefinitely, then, the market's just going to have to adjust. There's definitely a bottleneck of people that want to buy, need to buy. There's a whole generation of folks in their 20s that have been sitting on the sidelines. So, I think rate's a big factor, but if rates never move, then something has to adjust.
Yeah.
So
at this point, honestly, it feels like Groundhog Day, because every week we have the same conversation, telling people like, hey, everybody's sitting on the sideline right now. Once this congestion, right, we're a little constipated right now as far as the housing market goes, and once this thing gets flushed out, it's going to be mayhem. And what we know,
nice visual.
Okay, Ab, calm down. Now I got a point I'm going to get across here. We know that once rates come down, rates come down 1%, house values go up 5 to 10%, something like that. So,
Yeah.
There's some creativity too that we've all done on deals together, right? Though, I mean, we've been looking at certain things where sellers are feeling a pinch because we're getting more things on the market and it's getting a little more saturated. So we have more months of supply and inventory. So I think that's something that's going to be really important for buyers and sellers to understand, that negotiating a home isn't all about the price of the home, right? I can call you guys up and say, hey, what if we could get 3% towards a rate buy down or something coming off the seller that's going to help this buyer? And we're still figuring out how to make deals work and make deals move. But I think it's really going to be important that people are teaming with the right professionals to make it work into their financial picture.
Yeah, that's a great point there. That's why it's so important to work with somebody so experienced, right? Like yourself, Kat, that's done this and that knows all the ins and outs and the creative ways to make the home more affordable, right, for the right buyer, and to make it work for the seller too, right? So everybody kind of wins.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the real estate professionals too can guide buyers in what the rate actually means. Like it's not necessarily if you're in this for the long term and for 10 years or 15 years or however long you're owning a home, like a rate shouldn't scare you away from a transaction. Like I always I think a smart thing to do as a real estate professional is to educate them on like an extra $10,000 on a purchase price or a rate is like $42 a month, and like putting it in terms like that to be like, is that going to keep you out of this transaction and out of the market? I think is an effective way to communicate it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartely. Showing them like, all right, best case scenario rate, all things align and rates drop by 0.5 point, which would be like a crazy drop. Rates to drop by 0.5% in any short period of time, 6 months or less, would be huge. So, it's showing them that spectrum. Like, here's what you're waiting for. Let's define what you're waiting for. And I said this before. If $50, if $100 is going to make or break your monthly payment, then I would suggest reevaluating the whole picture of your budget. $100 one way or another shouldn't be the determining factor.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about with rate fluctuations.
And if there's one thing that we know from being in the industry as long as we have, Ab, it's that the agents are Batman and we're Robin, right? We can say it until we're blue in the face. They don't believe it. It's like when I tell my wife something, she doesn't believe it, but if her dad says the exact same thing, she'll believe it.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So,
I would say you're more of a cat woman. No pun intended, cat. Alex.
Love that. Nimble.
He is nimble. You should see him. He's light on his feet. So, all right, that wraps up rates. Let's get into something that might tickle Shane's fancy a little bit here. I want to get into, and Kat, I want to get into really quick look at new home starts. So builders getting the ball rolling on new home builds. I am eager to hear what you guys want to have to say about your market, South Florida. It's like the builder capital of the world right now. I don't know. You can tell me, but new home starts according to census.gov. January 2025, the U.S. housing market experienced a notable decline in new home construction. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, single-family housing starts decreased 8.4%, while multifamily starts, including apartments and condos, dropped 13.5%. So new home starts seem to be slowing. Just take it from there. What are you guys seeing with your partners that you're helping acquire land? Are they still buying land? What are you seeing in the field? Give us your insight.
Yeah, I've seen and you sent me a couple of doom and gloom type sentiments about the market.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I could speak for all the big home builders at once, it'd be you think it's a little bit of like Newton's law, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The amount of production, sales, and margins that the home builders saw over the previous 2 to 3 years was unpredictably high.
An anomaly.
Right. So to see it slow is somewhat predictable and okay. I think their sentiment is, let's be patient. We don't have to drop prices drastically and get a lot of sales. In Florida particularly, there's still a lot of optimism long term. We're going to stay through this because the population that's come here and migrated here, it's entrepreneurial, it's bringing jobs, it's bringing dollars and cents, more transactions to our market. So if we let that settle in for a couple of years, long term, I think this is going to be a very steady market.
Yeah, and to that point, going long on Florida, there's a lot of infrastructure being, worked on, dumped in, bridges, parks, schools, libraries. I mean, there's a gigantic high school going in right near me. There's a park. There's a state-of-the-art, beautiful park on every freaking corner. So, these people get it wrong sometimes, but these big-time builders and the people that are pouring money into the communities around the new housing, they tend to have pretty good economists on their team. These are huge companies. What about you, Kat? Taking buyers around and talking to site agents and stuff. What's the temperature from your perspective?
So in some areas down here, I kind of focus on the Tri-County area, meaning St. Lucie, Martin, and Palm Beach County. So Palm Beach County, the new construction is very low. You're still, moving houses here. They're not making more land in Palm Beach County, and there's just not a ton of development. In St. Lucie, we saw the big boom, but for years prior to COVID, they were kind of frozen on development. Then COVID, demand went through the roof. Everybody wanted to be in Florida. Everybody wanted to kind of, get into that virtual work and move to a new place. And then the builders started catching up. And what we're seeing right now is that hangover because they're big ships, right? Builders are huge. So you're seeing a lot of inventory that came on the market now just slowly getting absorbed.
Right. Yeah, and we're in a weird time where rates were artificially low, and they normalized, and new home builds and the housing market was going crazy during COVID, and shortly thereafter, home values went insane. So it's like, to compare really anything to that blip in the radar is unfair, to say the least, I think. So thanks for the insight. I've never been the best at segues. So next on the docket.
Well done, Ab. Nailed it. Knocked it out of the park.
Next on the docket. That's why I keep Al around. He's my he like softens my edges. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There you
So
go. Soften the edges.
Next on the docket, I want to, maybe controversial, shouldn't be controversial, but I want to touch really quick on a little thing called the Department of Government Efficiency. And can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And notably, this article that's been popular, or what is a Doge dividend check? So President Donald Trump said he's considering a plan to pay out $5,000 in stimulus checks to taxpayers in the form of Doge dividends during a speech on Wednesday. He explained that as part of 20% of the savings he's thinking will go back to taxpayers, while 20% of it will go toward paying down the deficit. We don't have to get into our opinions about. It's really a shame that we have to I feel like I have to bite my tongue about a Department of Government Efficiency that is showing the people that more people get Social Security than there are people in the country, and people that have been dead for over 100 years are receiving Social Security, and there's billions of dollars being wasted. It's a really weird thing that you have to walk on eggshells when talking about something like that. But what do you guys think about government efficiency, about the money that's saved, specifically Doge's role in bringing up our governor? I don't know if you've seen this here in Florida, is tossing around the idea of eliminating state property taxes. Have you guys seen this?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I have not.
Yeah. DeSantis has been talking about getting rid of property taxes for homeowners in Florida, which would be massive.
God.
It would be massive. It would be insane. Think about what that would do to the affordability crisis. Forget rates.
I think those new build numbers would go up real fast. I'll tell you that much.
Super fast. I mean, we have a pretty fair and low property tax compared to the rest of the country, but it still, in a lot of cases, is close to $1,000 a month rolled into your full payment on your house every month, which is huge. I mean, could you imagine?
Huge.
That's insane.
The number of people.
I'm a huge proponent of it.
Yeah,
I think our governor is going the opposite way. I think he's going to jack it up a little bit more. More taxes, baby. That's the Maryland way.
It's time for you to move.
No, it's well past time for me to move, Kat.
Shane, thoughts?
Huge fan of efficiency. I mean, how could you not be a fan of, my wife and I review our finances. I'm sure you guys report to someone. I give presentations to potential shareholders of this is what our business does and this is why it's efficient or not efficient. I don't know how you could be against that type of concept. I think it's beautiful what they're doing. It's really cool for me to see these business minds getting into politics, and I'm thankful that these you see a lot of people who are entrepreneurial and have their own independent financial success all of a sudden being I'm going to step into politics and make a difference, and that's a pretty exciting thing.
Isn't that kind of what started politics? These people were wealthy statesmen or farmers. In many cases, they were just doing it because they saw the need. And I feel like when things get rough, people step up, and sometimes it's gotta get bad before good great people step in, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing happening.
You think we want the best and the brightest, the sharpest minds, not the 90-year-old minds that are kind of, shaping the future and running the country.
I freaking love the fact that there's 19 and 20-year-old programmer geniuses working at the Treasury and digging up this old crusty, blowing the dust off these old systems and trying to bring them into the new world. I mean, they're using AI to pull out anomalies and investigating it. And these people that can't understand what's going on, I think just either don't want to see it or they're stuck. It's like abuser denial. It's like getting mad at your best friend because he told you that your wife's been sleeping around all over town. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Getting mad at these people for showing us that there's just money being stolen and laundered. It's just mind-boggling.
I actually worked 1 year in my family's company, and we would sell intelligent warning systems and signs to the government. And when you get in and see the way our government spends money, it's like I almost felt guilty, like making these sales at the way they spend money and don't think about it. It was weird.
Well, not to mention, like, if these organizations get an allotment, they have to spend it all. If you give any of that money back, then you lose it for the next year. So they are throwing money away at the end of their fiscal year. Which is just
bureaucrats. It's bureaucracy.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. But potentially a $5,000 stimulus check. And if I could segue here, I think this is a great opportunity. You have $5,000 you can use on these. The next topic of conversation for us: 6 home buying trends you can't ignore in 2025.
Thank you for the segue.
Places that $5,000 could go. Right?
It was very smooth.
I was just gonna go like this. Segue. So, all right, can you guys see this screen share of this article?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we've got 6 home buying trends you can't avoid, and articles are just like, it's just headlines, articles. Who knows who's writing them or where it's coming from? So I wanted to get your guys' opinion here on some of these trends. So we've got, let me see here. Couple of the trends. We've got wellness and amenities are a must. We've got nature-inspired designs.
There's a word for that, Adam.
What's that?
Into nature-inspired designs. It sounds like a bad word, but it's not.
Feng shui?
Biophilia.
Oh, biophilia.
That's definitely a bad word.
That's
definitely some weird shit you're doing.
There are books in my house on it. I'm obsessed with it. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, all right. So here's a good one. Size might not matter. It's all about location.
Man.
Kitchens are becoming more functional. Homes as financial tools. And bigger down payment are trending. More buyers are putting down 20 to 50%. So
try to keep that mortgage payment low.
All right, Kat, Shane, 30 seconds or less. Wellness and amenities are a must. Go.
Absolutely. I mean, where do you spend the most of your time? There are, as popular or unpopular as it is, a lot of entrepreneurs work out of their homes. So being able to do things in your home that make it feel good while you're there and then being able to relax and retreat. I also think with prices the way they've been on everything with inflation in our economy, more people are eating at home, hanging out at home, having friends over. Like the dinner parties have come back. So having a home that is focused on health, wellness, and a nice sense of kind of what's around you is bringing more people back to their houses as a hang time.
I love hang times. I love hanging at houses. What about wellness? Shane, you're pretty well guy.
Yeah.
I called Shane the other day, and he was on a couples getaway, and I was like, "You been doing anything funny?" He was like, "Yeah, we hit a really cool gym and just got after it."
Those two are so impressive. They're inspiring. I've lost 20 pounds since joining Shane's team.
Oh God, that's awesome.
Osmosis.
wellness in the house, or are there builders acquiring land and having that in their mind, like wellness centers, or incorporating walking trails and stuff? Like, is it important?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've seen it in the way that they're even designing a lot of these master plans, like Tradition, Alton, where it used to just be like everything faces the road.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe now we're getting like everything facing each other, and that's why, I mean, health and wellness is clearly like trending upward in our country.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're orienting the real estate around that for sure.
Yeah. A lot more home gyms and saunas and cold plunges. Everybody's got a cold plunge now.
I got one this morning.
I'm sure you did.
It's like getting up early. It's like you don't want to get up and then you do it. You're training your mind to just do something you don't want to do. I love that stuff. Biophilia, Kat.
Biophilia.
It's a must.
It's an absolute must. There's certain things around just the peacefulness of your mind and having more plants in your house, more greenery, more natural wood tones, the warmth of it. There's also, I mean, if you look at stores and retailers, they've hopped on this, because when you go into a retail store that is focused on a biophilia aesthetic, people spend more money.
You sound like a freaking Gen Z.
Yeah.
Biophilia aesthetic. It's a vibe, Kat. It's a vibe.
It's a total
it's exactly
vibe.
what it is. It's a vibe.
All right, cool. So the trends are trending so far. Let's see what else. Location matters more than size. Thoughts?
I would agree with this. I have people that have wanted a larger house, but maybe their budget, they wanted to be on the water, and their budget was more like, hey, maybe I cut that house size by 1,000 square feet, but I'm getting my waterfront property. Those kind of things are absolutely true.
Nice.
Yeah. And you've seen that convert into the floor plans. Like, I think that's where the open floor plan caught fire. Mm-hmm. It's a more efficient use of space.
Yep.
Instead of having 3,000 square feet laid
Traditional
out.
dining rooms are gone.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, all right. And I would tend to agree with that. I tell my wife, like, I would live in a shoebox if it was like 20 feet from the beach, but she's not. I guess she isn't about that. She likes the bigger houses. So
there's a lot of kids running around your house, Adam.
I know. It's getting insane. It's getting.
Ab just wants to walk barefoot to like a local surf shop that also doubles as a coffee shop every day and ride his longboard.
Yeah. And I want to go in there and I want to like hand him a record to, hey, could you put this on while I listen while I drink my coffee? So yeah, that's very true. I would love that. All right, homes as financial tools. I'm going to go ahead and say, like, this is definitely a trend. People are seeing them as investments, and they should look at it that way. Especially people are becoming less like emotionally attached to these. Like this next generation coming up, I think, is more. It's just a house. They want to live in it. They want it to be beautiful. They are all into the biophilia, but there's no sense of like, this is where I'm going to be for the next 60 years of my life.
And
so
you lose that. This house has been in my, family for generations. You don't see that nearly as much anymore.
So, and it's a financial tool in that, it is a pretty liquid asset in that you can do home equity lines, you can do cash out refis, you can do stuff with the equity as it builds. You don't always have to just sell. So sorry for stealing that one from you guys.
Suckers.
I did want to add to that. My son is 23 years old, and he was at my house 2 nights ago to review the budget, to put a goal in place when his lease is up in September. How are we going to get you into a home that's an investment? And
that's great.
He's looking at, where am I going to live for 5 to 7 years, and what are our payoffs? Will I drive 20 extra minutes to work to make this investment? Yes. How much do I need to save? Here's where we're cutting our expenses.
So they're thinking like that too.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Cool.
And we make an emphasis on our agents to educate them in financial acumen for this reason. Like, for most of America, this is one of their biggest financial tools that they ever invest in is a home. So
right.
I don't know why a real estate agent wouldn't take understanding how to use that seriously,
Yeah, absolutely. And then, with the internet and stuff, there's just plenty of people out there that are giving good information and some bad, but good information, digestible information about appreciation and just educating on all that whole side of it that maybe wasn't happening 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
All right. Next thing I want to jump into. I want to watch. Al does not like this that I'm into this trend, but react to this video. So I'm going to play the intro, and then I'm going to jump ahead and play a clip, and then I want to get Kat and Shane's take.
Brand new data from Redfin is showing a dramatic shift in the 2025 housing market. Houses and condos are now lingering on the market longer than they have in 5 years, leaving sellers across the country in panic mode. While many speculate
Sellers in panic mode.
About a looming crash, the numbers are showing
looming crash. Keywords.
This unusual story. The shocking fact is that the downturn has already begun. By the end of 2025, the headlines won't be about an impending crash. They'll be about the one we're already in. Inventory changes across.
So we've been doing this lately, where we jump into one of these doom and gloom YouTube things, and I get it. It gets more clicks. So you got to understand that these people want clicks. I want clicks. We haven't yet gone the doom and gloom route.
I've been trying to, but Ed won't let me.
Yeah, I want to be like the guy. I want to be positive and bring light. And if there is something bad happening, I want to take the Jocko Willink stance. Good. So anyway,
yeah.
Next minute, and then we're gonna let you guys jump in. So here's some Florida stats. Al, that's a picture of Florida.
Got it.
And why I think values are going to drop more in these areas to go forward is the inventory. Inventory in Palm Beach is up 40%. In Broward, it's up 60%. In Miami, it's up 41%. In Naples, it's up 44%. All across Florida, the inventory is just going through the roof. In Orange County, in Orlando, inventory is up 50%. But we now have almost the highest level of inventory in 7 years in Orlando.
Okay. I want to say one thing, and then I want to kick it to you guys. I thought the inventory shortage was the problem. Now this guy's saying we have inventory, and that is a problem. What are your thoughts, Shane, Kat?
I mean, this video in general, I probably am similar to Al. Like, what a strategy to get clicks. But it'd be like when the government was handing out free money and interest rates were like 2.5%. If I came on here and was like, it's never going down, everything's up all the time, like similar to what I said earlier, equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
Like these trends we're seeing, if you look at every graph, it was up, and then now it's like coming down a little bit. But in the long term of real estate, it is like this.
Yeah.
So
always trending up, but you have some.
So Shane, you're talking about value, home value.
Exactly, home values. Yes, yeah. So I think it's very natural. I think it's important for agents to set sellers' expectations in this market, like when there is more inventory, and that way people aren't freaking out and being frantic and unrealistic. And that's where I think he's getting that sellers are frantic and pressured. I would blame that more on the real estate agent for not going in and setting the precedent and the expectation of like, hey, here's where the market's at right now.
Yeah.
Instead of like, it's an easy way to get a listing to come in and be like, hey, a year and a half ago, this sold at this really high price. So I think we can get there, and you're going to like get that listing, and we're going to be in the same problem.
And that might be a product of a bunch of just, a bunch of people that got in the business in 2021, 2022, maybe even 2023, and they just haven't had the experience to have those tough conversations with sellers.
There's also percentage that inventory ticks up is different than months of supply. So we're still hanging out in a pretty decent area for months of supply when you're looking at what the absorption rate is on this. So seeing, it's up 50%, I'd like to dig into that and say, what are the months of supply for that? I mean, if we're kind of in 4 to 6%, we're just now touching into a or 4 to 6 months, we're just now touching into a buyer's market. So it's really, I look more at months of supply than I do percentage of inventory on the market.
Yeah, and this is why.
Insight.
Yeah, that's great insight, and that's specifically why I love talking to you guys and being part of everything you guys got going on, because you are capable of having that conversation, and you look at the big data and the big picture, and that comes from your I assume it comes from your background of just being involved in the bigger picture. There's new, like the builders aspect and all of that. What about inventory going up? How long did we hear that there was an inventory crisis and shortage? And now inventory's going up, and people like this guy want to say that's the problem. What are you guys seeing? What do you think about inventory in our areas?
So Palm Beach County, I still think you're pretty tight on inventory. Martin County is getting a little bit of an uptick in inventory, which is good. And then when you're in St. Lucie, there's a lot of development that happened over the last few years. Inventory is a little bit higher there, but I mean, houses are still trading in those places. We've had a very busy selling season, and we're only in February, and all of our agents are actively working on things. Florida's unique, right? Who wants to shovel snow every day? People still come here. People still love it. I'm from here, so I don't know what it was like for you guys with the snow shoveling.
You would love
that
shoveling.
sounds like I'd go back
shovel
to
some
bed.
snow, Kat. Okay, before you knock it.
Yeah, no. I would go straight back to bed. I would end up unemployed and not able to leave my house.
Straight back to bed. Cool. So, all right. Any last thoughts about about that the crisis, or just the way that guy put it?
I think the market is pretty fair. Like I think I'm about to be a buyer soon, and I'm excited to go out and find deals that you can add value to. Like I think the houses that are struggling and sitting on the market, there's a reason why. Like maybe it's not the best lot, the kitchen's not updated, and you can go down the street and find a great house with a pool. Like I've seen houses with pools are selling a lot quicker and moving pretty quickly. Like high-end homes that are nice are doing well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. And there's probably a lot of people who are like missed the boat on cashing in on the COVID craze and are getting in late and have like a misconstrued conception of what they can get out of their house. So,
yeah.
All right.
And I mean, I think also too, inflation's high. Affordability's tough right now for a lot of folks. So as you see things kind of ease up in the economy and things get a little bit more affordable, obviously you're going to have a lot more people entering the market. Even if there is a high inventory, it's going to shift pretty fast. And if you couple that with rates coming down at some point in time, it's going to be a rapid shift.
Rapid. Yep. It's going to be great. I think that there's a huge bottleneck, and let the inventory pile
Constipation, some say, but we'll leave that alone.
Let the inventory pile up. Let the inventory pile up, and then when the dust settles and rates come down to 6%, 5 3/4, there's going to be we're going to need inventory for all the buyers.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I love sharing that doom and gloom stuff and trying to give a different perspective. So thank you for indulging, guys. So let's get into really, we'll spend the last 10 minutes. Just give us an insight on Blue Edge. Shane, everybody talks about culture. Everybody talks about what it's like to work somewhere. But what's important to you guys, to the team that you're building, to the way that you do things day to day? What can you give us on that?
I mean, I can start with our core values of growth, authenticity, and collaboration. So finding agents who are growing, educating themselves, because like you kind of alluded to earlier, there's a lot of agents that have flooded the market, pretty high failure rate just in the industry in general. So if you're going to come in and be like buyers are liars, sellers are unrealistic, the market's hard, you are probably going to end up in that failure rate. So it's important to have your mind on growth. Authenticity is the other one that I mentioned on our sales side. Like, that's always been very clear to Katherine and I both. And just being yourself and being sincere and looking out for what people want, which like doing the right thing is pretty simple rule in my mind. And then collaboration, like understanding that there's two sides of every negotiation, every team. Basically, being a real estate professional is about people. Like, if it's not about people, then AI is going to take our jobs and we don't need to be here. So making yourself a professional and working with people, bringing people together, and then overcoming obstacles with them, those three things are a big part of our company and where we're going.
Yeah, and I think you two definitely embody those. I mean, you've allowed us to collaborate with you. You know, it's been an open door, and like, how can we help each other? So that's great. And then all too often, like, deals can be squandered because people let their egos get in the way, and it's like, don't we all have a common goal here? So you know, it's a breath of fresh air, and I hope that you know you guys can keep that up and keep spreading that.
Yeah.
There is a different feel here in the real estate world of Florida versus Baltimore, but that's a topic for another show. Kat, you bring a unique perspective to being a part of Blue Edge, joining Blue Edge, coming from, you know, you were working at a bustling community, and you bet on yourself and kind of went out, you know, and broke free from the corporate overlords, so to speak, and you joined up with you know more independent you know brokerage group. You didn't go join a Keller Williams or a Remax. You know, what can you say about that unique perspective, and then how it ties into Blue Edge?
So for me, when I decided that, you know, where I was at corporately, I loved it. I mean, it was great. I worked for a great company. The big thing for me was, hey, I'm pushing up to a certain age. And if I don't want to work for the man forever, I need to start something. And then, you know, I started kind of looking at different brokerages, called Shane. I was like, hey, you want to have some lunch? He big leagued me and did not have lunch with me. Then he called me back like a week later, and he was like, "Hey, you want to have some lunch?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we went to lunch, and he told me about Blue Edge and what he was doing. And I had known Shane professionally for several years. I always liked that we kind of had a competitive edge with each other, but the idea of us being able to collaborate and grow something was super exciting for me, and I jumped in with both feet and have not been disappointed. I mean, this is one of the more collaborative environments I've ever been in, where everybody is rooting for each other.
Yeah, so the nature of our relationship, she was in a sales center right down the street from me. So, and we were competing with each other on almost every single deal. Like, someone would come in, I'd ask them, like, what else are you considering? And it felt like 75% of the time they'd be like, oh, I'm working with Katherine over at so and so. I'd be like, shit, this is not good. Like, she would beat me a lot. But I would get beat by her, and then we would have meetings still and like catch up with each other on like, hey, what are you doing? Why is this working? So it was always this healthy thing of like, how am I going to beat you? And it's still like that to this day. But
I love it. So it's just great. And then my experience with Kat and Shane has been fantastic. You know, allowing us to help the team, allow us to be a part of the team. It really means a lot. Shane has you know, we had Mike Curadosi on here a couple weeks ago, who I met through Shane's networking group that he, you know, runs and puts together in Jupiter. It's just a great, you know, a great atmosphere. Blue Edge is it's like an open door, and I can say from experience that it's the real deal as far as rooting for each other and wanting to get things done. So Shane, what is Blue Edge? What's the edge? You were talking about it a little bit. So on the edge, what tell me what you were go over
Yeah.
what you were saying the other day about that.
Well, when I was talking about negotiations earlier, obviously Blue Edge is a play on the real estate that we live on. Like we're right next to the edge of the ocean.
Right.
But also like just what we talked about in collaboration. Robert Kiyosaki has an expression of like, there's always two sides of the coin. There's heads and tails. But if you could sit on the edge of the coin, then you can see both heads and tails. And from that position, you're able to navigate more clearly. So that's just kind of part of our perspective of like, we're always kind of like reaching for that edge and pushing for that edge.
Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, is that right?
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
So
That's good stuff right there.
And if you're able to be the observer, so to speak, and not like be just overwhelmed by like, oh, what is the world doing to me? If you can kind of sit on the edge and observe, you're much better off whether you're dealing with a customer. We got to satisfy people's needs, and we got to negotiate with other sides. So cool.
Yeah.
Well,
that's great.
Al, do you have anything off the top of your head?
Well, so Kat, you are. I love your style, the way that you do things. Right, you're very obviously you're very warm and you're welcoming, right? And you have a great way with buyers, but you also have a natural ability to keep things pushing along and keep things moving forward. And a lot of the folks that I work with, a lot of the realtors that I work with that are younger in the industry don't have that, right? So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you develop that, or if that's just who you are, if that's just your personality, right? Or if that's something you developed, from time in the business.
So, I mean, a lot of it, even in my personal relationships, I'm always kind of like the homeroom mom. We do a lot of hosting. I'm moving on to the next thing. When I'm working with a buyer or a seller, they've expressed what they want, right? And a lot of times they have a full-time day job, and they have this, and they have their kids, and they have their husband or their wives. They've got their whole life. So pushing forward on certain goals that are personal are not always their top priority. Yeah. So my job, the way I look at it, is to continue communicating and driving that bus forward. And then when we get to the end, they're typically like, that was so easy. I thought it was going to be so much more complicated. And, a lot of times once we close, they're like, what do we do if we don't talk to you in the evenings now? I'm like, oh, we keep talking. But,
yeah.
It's just you keep everything moving forward, because that's what they're hiring you to do.
Right.
Is handle that and move it in the direction that they expressed they wanted to go.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're masterful with it too, because I guess a lot of folks are just scared that if they're, they don't want to come off as pushy, right? Or they don't want to come off the wrong way. And it's not that. They are, like you perfectly said, they hired you for a reason, right?
Correct.
To
educate, communicate, and push forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and it
definitely shows.
Yeah, and it does bother me. Well, not doesn't bother, but just everybody kind of needs that kick in the ass. Everybody needs a personal trainer. People go to the gym. Everybody would love to be in shape, but a lot of times you need motivation. You need somebody behind you rooting you on. So that's super important to getting the process.
Yeah, I just want to comment on that because I think Al nailed Kat's personality, and like I think that is an incredible skill set in actual professional sales. Like what I see a lot of new agents jumping into is like, how great can I market? How cool of a video can I make?
Mm-hmm.
And there's still like a skill set that you have to learn that is just like moving people along and helping them to take action in a sincere way.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a sincere way, because you've done the work in your initial conversations to identify their wants and needs, and right, like they told you what they want and need, and they're hiring you to help them accomplish that. So yeah, I mean that some would say that's like old school, but it's not. It's necessary sales.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and the other part of this, not to they didn't pay me for this, but there is something huge about working with you guys when we're doing things in house. I mean, I've had deals that have cost people, tens of thousands of dollars because they had a lender that was delayed or couldn't do this or couldn't do that. There's something so huge about knowing the right people and being able to immediately put you on a text message in a group and say, hey guys, can you run the numbers for this?
yeah.
And you're spitting back out where they're making decisions in real time. Or we get to a house and they're like, it's got something needs to be inspected on the electric. Hold on, let me call my electrician. He's going to come out here and we have those connections, those contacts.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like working with people and it is you guys. It's like we're as excited to work and get something done. And like, look, if I'm with my kids, in the nighttime or whatever, like maybe, but like during the work hours, I don't understand what else people are doing if they're not responding to emails and text messages and answering the phone. Like, what else are you doing? So,
Yeah.
having that partnership is great. Shane, what really briefly, like, what's it like going out and trying to get somebody to sell a piece of land that maybe has been, what's the biggest part? Is it usage and like and zoning, or is it negotiate or not negotiating, but like talking to somebody who has owned land for 60 years? What's that like?
Yeah, I feel like land is not for every person. I call it like the Russian roulette of real estate. If you look at all the different things you can do in real estate, it's all about time. I wait forever on deals, and if I could land 3 deals, like that's an extraordinary year. So in the same sense, you could land 1 or 0 deals. So it's about being patient. And for me, like since I know I'm in it for the long game, I'm just trying to establish sincere relationships with these landowners. Like I want to be connected to them, learn, how they get the land, why, and then what are they looking to do in the future. And then I picture myself like putting my arm around them and helping them in any way achieve that. So yeah, I'm setting them up with land consultants. I'm putting like a nice crowd of buyers that can give them different timing and offers depending on what they're looking for. But it requires patience, and like you have to make 100, 200 calls to get maybe one.
Yeah.
So high failure rate, and it's a numbers game. And
Well, high failure rate. That you probably are well adapted to that coming from the world of baseball.
Yeah. People out there saying Shane's lost a couple mile an hour on his fastball, right? Shane's stuff doesn't have any movement on it anymore.
100%. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm literally, that's the mindset I'm trying to put myself in, is like, okay, every day when I wake up, what is the top 1% doing? And I want to do those things.
Right.
And orient my schedule around that.
Yeah.
I will say Shane is probably one of the most authentic human beings I've ever met in my life, and he is genuinely curious. And I think a lot of the skill set that's required to do this comes very naturally to him, and it's truly impressive.
Yeah, definitely a great leader, definitely a great guy and a great group. So
and
Blue
built
Edge,
a great group. Yeah, definitely
Blue
built
Edge,
an awesome
where
group.
are you guys going? Where do you want to go? What does the team look like in a couple years, or your in your eyes? I mean, do you want to have 100 agents and doing volume? Do you want to have a core group of killers that are like great and share your values? Like, what does the sales staff look like? What is the volume like? What does it look like? What's your vision for this thing you guys are banging away at?
Yeah, we're continuing to grow. I mean, we threw out some like pessimistic stats about agents in this podcast, but despite that, we've continued to grow. Our transactions are moving forward. So we want to take over the Treasure Coast and go up and down Florida here. So we're adding agents. We're looking for more, and that's our direction.
So
I'm ultimately what we're looking to do is also like partner alongside small developers, because of our new construction experience, our urgency, our core advantage of like we know that corporate structure that it takes to start a community and finish it over 2 or 3 years. Like we're really going to stand out in that field.
Yeah.
and like save the save the middle level builders. Like let's do it, because these big production builders, like they're great and they're necessary, but you're missing out on a little bit of the character.
Yeah.
And I love small business, and those people and those folks are not gonna go out and hire a sales staff, an HR team. And if you guys can go in and help them outsource that a little bit, and sell their communities and stuff, I think that could be great. And so as far as taking over the Treasure Coast, I love it. I think what is that Jupiter to like Vero Beach? Is that what it is? What's the Treasure Coast?
Stop at Vero. We debate this, and
Yeah,
then
we
we look
debate
it up, and we're like, it's a pretty good little stretch. But yeah, I think it's probably North Palm to about Vero, Sebastian.
Why is it called the Treasure Coast?
Because of the amount of shipwrecks filled with treasure off the coast of this area.
It was,
Is that
I think it was
bullshit?
like no, it was like
That's real?
I think it was like
man,
some like
I need to be a diver.
it was like Spanish. It was like Spanish pirates, or I don't know. Somebody was trying to come and steal the pirates' gold, and they tried to flee, and like 7 ships wrecked and like spilled all their gold. So
Damn, I didn't know that.
Don't you want to move now, Al? I mean,
yeah, like real bad.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the catalyst. Babe, we're moving. We're start packing up.
all right, cool guys. Well, coming up on an hour. Any closing thoughts? Anything that we didn't touch on? Anything at all?
No, I'm excited about this year. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom out there, and there's different kind of takes on what the market's doing, but we're seeing nothing but growth, and I expect this year to be better than the last.
Nice.
Love that.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you guys. I mean, Kat's complimenting you guys for everything you've done. It is, like I said, like the team that we put together is the most important part of how this works and how home buyers and sellers are happy or sad. So we're happy to work with you guys every day.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Guys,
we love the opportunity to work with you guys, and we love the fact that you joined us on our show here too. This is awesome. You guys are fantastic.
Thanks for having us.
we appreciate you guys truly. I'll see you guys soon in person, and yeah, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Friday and enjoy your weekend.
You too.
All right, boys.
God
Bye.
bless.
See ya.
Love it.